U.S. President Donald Trump has officially announced 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports, including those from Canada. And both the steel and aluminum sectors in this country are highly dependent on the U.S. market. And Canada has been the single largest supplier of aluminum to the United States. It was a surprise move from Trump. He revealed his plans for new tariffs yesterday on his way to watch the Super Bowl. And it was something top of mind for the leader of the federal NDP during a visit to Windsor today. Jacob Barker has more.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is in Windsor today, where he first met with union leaders here at Unifor Local 444's Union Hall. He struck back at U.S. President Donald Trump's weekend announcement that tariffs were on the way for aluminum and steel, including Canada's. Singh says that the NDP is going to go on the offensive. He says he favors retaliatory tariffs, in particular targeting one American car company, Tesla.
Elon Musk has been very loud, very vocal, attacking our country. We're not going to let that stand. So if you're going to take a shot at us, we're going to fight back.
The idea echoes one put forward by Liberal leadership candidate Chrystia Freeland last week, where she called for a 100% tax on Tesla cars entering the country. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said that Canada will retaliate in kind with matching tariffs on American aluminum and steel, all of the proceeds of which will be given back to the steel and aluminum industry, and any surplus will be given in tax relief. Singh also says he would reinstate the federal rebate on electric vehicles, raising it from $5,000 to $10,000. Unifor 444's President James Stewart was on hand today. He says that the goal should be to do away with tariffs altogether.
Well, I think it's important for our Canadian politicians to make sure they're keeping the communication open between our countries, making sure we understand what their grievances are and work on resolving them, whatever they may be. But tariffs have to be, the goal has to be not to have the tariffs.
Stewart says that today's meeting is one of many that they hope to have with party leaders at all levels of government. The hope is to impress on them how even the mention of tariffs is shaking their workers and the industries they work in. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
The 25% tariff on steel and aluminum is expected to have a big impact on Ontario, which is a big steel producer. It was a big part of the conversation for party leaders on the provincial election trail today, even before the orders were signed. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop has more.
This plant in Hamilton is one of 6 different Ontario steel plants. The local union president says 25% tariffs will make it hard to sell to the U.S. market. He's hopeful the tariffs won't last long.
Everyone knew that it's going to lead to more inflation, higher cost of goods, and we just saw a huge raise in inflation and went through that. So, everyone's expecting things to level off, not grocery prices and food prices to continue to go up.
He says the good news at that plant is their recent contract guarantees no job losses for 5 years. It was negotiated when a U.S. company bought the steelmaker. The company, Cleveland Cliffs, supports tariffs, saying in the long term they can make America a manufacturing superpower once again. Canadian steel producers are calling for strong retaliatory tariffs.
Will be devastating on our industry, devastating on our employees, and we really can't let this happen.
The NDP leader headed to Hamilton today to talk to steelworkers.
Make sure that they know that I'm on their side, that I will fight like hell for every single job.
And she blames the previous government for not doing more.
Last time, back in 2018, when Donald Trump did this, Doug Ford did nothing. He relegated it all to the feds. But I won't do that. I'll be there and I'm going to stand up for our Ontario jobs and Ontario steelworkers.
The NDP point to 2019, when Ford called for the federal government to remove the retaliatory tariffs it had added. Now, Ford is calling for tough measures.
A hard response, and it will wake up our friends south of the border. When someone, gives you a pop in the nose, they're going to get that pop twice as hard back.
The Liberal leader blamed Ford for not doing more to foresee this tariff fight after the first Trump presidency.
He's been caught flat-footed because he hasn't insulated our economy. He hasn't diversified our trade or our trading partners or worked to reduce interprovincial barriers. He hasn't protected our jobs.
Ford is still in the caretaker premier role. He was asked whether retaliatory measures could go beyond the targets of steel and aluminum, and he couldn't say. For example, whether U.S. alcohol could be removed from LCBO shelves. Now, this is all happening a day before Ford and the other premiers take their fight on this issue to Washington. Lorenda Redicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Colette Kennedy is with us now for a first look at weather. Colette, a beautiful day today, lots of sunshine. How is it looking into the evening?
Yeah, everything's looking fine. It was lovely today, as you say. The evening's looking good. It's not what's happening in the next 24 hours. It's what's happening at about 48 hours that I want to kind of concentrate on, because I want everyone to have a heads up, and so does Environment Canada, and that's why there is a special weather statement for our entire region, much of the province. So this extends all the way into Eastern Ontario for what is to come Wednesday and into Thursday. So that's when this next system rolls through. And how it tracks is going to be so important, and that is still being fine-tuned. The models are not in agreement. The potential that we get into some mixed precipitation where we're seeing rainfall and also some significant snowfall. We could get some freezing rain in there as well. I'm going to give you more perspective on this coming up, but know that it's quiet tonight, -8, partly cloudy, -2 tomorrow, and we'll kind of have those variable skies for us through the day, Katerina.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
More now on the provincial election here in our region, an area that flipped from an NDP stronghold to a PC one in recent years. Where does that leave the Liberals? Dawson Chen digs into that.
Why is the Windsor-Essex region no longer an Ontario Liberal Party stronghold? With provincial election day less than 3 weeks away, the OLP is only now naming its candidates for the area. Tamara Stopp for Essex, Bill Kirby for Chatham-Kent-Leamington, and Connor Logan for Windsor-Tecumseh. A 23-year-old Liberal constituency assistant who studied political science at the University of Windsor, Logan isn't someone with much name recognition for two of the area's political observers, Lydia Miljan of the University of Windsor and longtime columnist Lloyd Brownjohn.
I mean, the only reason I know of him is because he was a student. And obviously, he is very young, hasn't had a chance to really build his profile.
Never heard of him. I wish him well, but I'd say, snowball in hell hopes of getting elected.
But Logan points out his education and work experiences in politics, including a year being an assistant for federal Liberal MP Eric Kuzmarczyk.
While I am young, I do have experience in government, and with that, I will carry that forward running in the campaign. And if I am elected, I'll use what I've learned.
The lack of Ontario Liberal Party presence in Windsor-Essex today stands in stark contrast with the region's history. Former provincial Liberal MPPs Dwight Duncan in Windsor-Tecumseh, Sandra Pupatello in Windsor West, and Bruce Crozier in Essex each won their seats in the 1990s and held office for more than 15 years. Brownjohn believes the Ontario Liberal Party's local reversal of fortunes shows how much the region has changed.
I think that what happened was that the elite, community, social, economic, which was the basis of power for the Liberal Party, has dissipated. It's not there anymore. You need the volunteers. You need a solid core, and the Liberals don't have it. They've lost their roots.
But that doesn't mean the OLP can never regain its footing in Windsor-Essex. Miljan points out the region has been dominated by Liberal Red, NDP Orange, and PC Blue at various points over the past 20 years.
The Windsor region, I think, is a great case study about how we have been associated with all the major parties.
Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
All the main parties in the provincial election campaign are promising to improve access to family doctors. At the moment, some 2.5 million people in Ontario don't have a primary care provider. Queen's Park senior reporter Mike Crawley compares their plans.
Louise Lee's family doctor announced retirement plans 2 years ago. Finding a new family doctor has taken up much of Lee's attention since then.
Followed every Facebook group we could think of. We'd ask neighbors, we were talking to colleagues, family friends. If anyone mentioned that they were going to see a doctor, we were asking them to inquire on our behalf.
She describes the experience as stressful, and it's influencing her views of the provincial election.
Definitely doctors and healthcare and our healthcare situation in general is a big factor for me in how I'm going to vote.
Some parties hope a lot of voters feel the same.
Wonderful.
The Liberals promised to spend $3.1 billion to add 3,100 new family doctors.
That's my pledge, that within 4 years, everyone will have access to a family doctor. You can have that, or you can have a fantasy tunnel or a mega spa.
A similar take from the NDP.
Would you rather have a family doctor than have a luxury spa in downtown Toronto? Yeah, it's about time, right?
The New Democrats would spend more than $4 billion and add 3,500 new family doctors. Not a single PC campaign event so far has focused on family doctors, but Doug Ford does get questioned about it.
And we're investing $1.8 billion to make sure every single person, no matter every infant, every child, every adult, every senior, is connected to a family doc.
The number of people without a family doctor in this province has been growing steadily for years.
I'm happy that candidates are speaking about family practice, about connecting everyone to a family doctor. What I'd say is if you're a voter, you should be thinking about who do you trust to deliver on that promise.
Nothing has made Ontario's family doctor crisis more visible than this. 1,000 people lined up in the snow in Walkerton for a chance to get on the roster of one physician starting a new practice, an event the Liberals have used to hammer the PCs.
That's Doug Ford's Ontario, and that is shameful, and that is what we are fighting against.
So, how will the family doctor issue affect the results on election night? Well, consider this. The age group that is most likely not to have a family doctor is people aged 18 to 34. That's also the age group least likely to vote. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
On a lighter note now, Valentine's week has officially begun, and while it may be roses and chocolates for you and your loved one, some are spreading the joy in other ways. Pratush Thayal has the details.
Love is in the air as Valentine's Day approaches, and some are spreading that love one care package at a time. Members of the Windsor Sikh community are making Valentine's Day care packages for 2 local women's shelters. These care packages are filled with Valentine's cards, chocolates and personal care items. Many members of the local Sikh community spent Sunday afternoon making 100 of these. While the World Sikh Organization of Canada has organized similar initiatives in other cities, this is the first in Windsor.
We think it's just a really great opportunity to remind women that are currently living in shelters that somebody is thinking of them and sending them love, especially around a time like Valentine's Day.
Volunteers collected money from the community to purchase the items. For this volunteer, it's all about giving back to the community.
I want to make sure that since it's Valentine's Day, everyone wants to feel loved and appreciated. So we wanted to make sure that we can all do that as a community. So that's why we're here.
For others, it's more spiritual.
And we also provide service for the humanity, which is called seva in our religion. So this is like a great opportunity for us to practice our faith and apply that teaching that we got from our God, from Guru Sahib Ji, and help everybody.
The community also got kids involved in helping to package up the items. This 11-year-old says every package counts.
And I do it because it helps other people and it just feels good inside to do that.
This is a very needed donation.
Women staying at the Welcome Centre for Women and Families will receive these packages. The shelter's volunteer coordinator says they easily go through hundreds of toothbrushes, toothpastes and personal items every year.
These kind of items will go quite quickly because the need is so high. And this type of donation really provides the clients that we serve with necessary items. So they won't last very long. So we are continuously sort of relying on donations like this.
Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Windsor.
Some good news for visitors of Point Pelee. The observation tower at the National Park has reopened to the public. It comes after a 2.5-year closure. In May of 2022, inspectors noticed a possible safety issue with the tower guard rail system during a routine inspection. That led to the tower being off limits until a replacement system could be designed and installed. And the spot, of course, is a popular park attraction. The 24-meter tower offers panoramic views of Canada's southernmost point, and it first opened back in 2019. A live look outside. Stay with us for a lovely local story right after the break. Welcome back. Air Canada has admitted it had no record of a handful of passengers that took its flights in recent years. They call the incidents rare and a technological malfunction, but others call it a safety concern. CBC's Erica Johnson has more in a Go Public investigation.
Hi, Auntie Ha.
Montreal's Yukhar Lim doesn't speak English, so her niece is helping to tell her story. Lim recently took a trip to Europe, but when she tried to check in to fly home from Budapest, learned Air Canada had deemed she didn't show up for an earlier flight on her itinerary and cancelled her return ticket, standard policy amongst airlines. Except Lim says she wasn't a no-show. Her niece translates.
I was very scared and I did not know what to do.
Desperate to get on the plane, Lim shelled out almost $2,600. Later, tried to get compensation, but the airline insisted it had no record of her boarding the plane. Go Public has learned of 5 other Air Canada passengers, all also incorrectly deemed no-shows. Their return tickets also cancelled. The airline insisted that Dan Ratkoff and his family never flew to Calgary for their ski trip, despite boarding passes, even a selfie on the plane.
I think it was 3 or 4 times that I was told that I am not in Alberta and that I didn't show up at that airport.
Christopher Bailey's flight from St. John's to Vancouver was cancelled, so he sued and learned the airline couldn't even find his seat. 34A did not show on its flight manifest. An Air Canada spokesperson said these cases are extremely rare and due to a human error or technological malfunction. Incorrect flight records can be a major safety concern, say experts, who point to rare cases of aviation emergencies, like the recent crash in Washington.
People are trying to rescue those people, and if they don't know how many people are in the water, how do they know when they have them all?
An Air Canada spokesperson said safety was in no way compromised, but repeatedly declined to address what might happen in an emergency. The airline said it will reach out to the customers it incorrectly deemed as no-shows to rectify the situation and apologize. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Let's shift gears now to a story that is sure to warm your heart. We meet a therapy dog who visits folks at the Salvation Army, offering support through challenging times.
I'm Ray Hoover. I'm with St. John Ambulance Therapy Dog Program, and this is Bentley, and he's a therapy dog. Well, Bentley is almost 7 years old. He's 7 in March, 136 pounds. Loves people. He is a lap dog. He will sit on your lap. He likes to come here. He likes to meet people. They've done studies on petting a dog, and it does relax you, lowers your blood pressure, just makes you feel good. There's residents here that may have to have given up their pets, and we're here to not replace their pets, but to give them that feeling that they had when they did have pets, and petting and hugging their pets.
I've been here almost 7 months now, and when I first met Bentley, yeah, I was pretty stressed out. I do struggle with PTS, and it just seemed to bring me calm and just anxiety, take the anxiety away. But yeah, just I had to give up a dog too because of my homeless condition, and yeah, this is awesome for me to be able to have a dog to come here, and then I'm getting that unconditional love from him, and he really likes me and I really like him, so it's mutual. And the nice thing about it too is, like I said, he's got such a great character, personality, you know. And it's the kind of relationship I have with my own dog.
Having Bentley and the therapy dog come in and meet with our residents is a great step for dealing with some of that stress, right? So we're not just about putting a shelter over someone's head, but we're also about the mental health and well-being of our residents. And I think it's important to realize that it's a holistic approach when you're in a shelter.
That's why we do this work, is, you know, what it brings to other people, how it makes them feel. That's why we do this.
I definitely appreciate it.
Well, relationships with animals are so special. Stay with us. We will have Colette back with us right after the break. Colette Kennedy is back with us for more on weather. And Colette, you are tracking a storm that is coming on through as of Wednesday. So what do we all need to know?
Yeah, a lot of action with this storm, and it's going to be a matter of exactly how it tracks in terms of the type of precipitation we are going to be seeing. But I'm going to walk you through what I mean by this. And for now, we do have a special weather statement for Wednesday through to Thursday, especially kind of Thursday morning and Wednesday for the second half of the day as the system is coming towards us. As we get closer to the event and we can define this a little bit better with that track, I expect that we'll get into seeing different kinds of warnings being issued. Current temperatures -3 for Windsor, sitting at -5 Chatham-Kent, and with those winds that have been more from the kind of west, southwest, -5. There you go for your wind chill, and -7 for Windsor. Some bursts of lake effect flurries off to the north and east of us, and a little bit of activity, mostly cloud cover to the south. But this next main system coming our way is actually just now kind of getting its act together and forming there in Texas. So this is yet another Texas low that the upper winds are going to pick up and bring to the Great Lakes region. So let me walk you through the scenarios here. As we look through just tonight and tomorrow, not much to deal with, all right? A few flurries here and there. Otherwise, we kind of have variable skies through the day tomorrow. This is Wednesday at 3 p.m. And with this particular model, you see it brings it in mostly as snow, a little bit of freezing rain or freezing drizzle getting in there and ice pellets, but even the rain line, so that temperature line above freezing kind of stays to the south. So it's mostly a snow event. That is where we would get the significant amounts of accumulation. However, I'm going to show you another model. I'm just going to jump ahead to right here on Wednesday afternoon and watch how this one comes in, and it wants to slide that freeze line up further north, making this more of a mix and even rainfall event. So then we would have lower amounts of accumulation. In either case, we're talking about some really messy roadways and tricky driving and travel conditions, all right? This potential then for snowfall potential, if it was more of a snow event, we're talking southwestern Ontario, maybe seeing 10 to 20 centimeters, and even double that further into the north. So some really incredible amounts of snow are possible with this, but as we get a little bit closer, I will be able to give you the track and see what we're going to see in terms of the type of precipitation a little better. -2 for tomorrow. That's your day to take a breather because you may have some shoveling to do Wednesday, later in the day, in the afternoon, overnight into Thursday morning with this system. And Katarina, another one potentially coming this weekend as well.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for explaining all that, Colette.
Sure.
And thank you to you all for watching. See you back here tomorrow.
Good night.